The Clippers returned to Los Angeles Wednesday night after a two-game preseason trip with the Charlotte Hornets in China. After 2 days off, the Clippers returned to practice today, where all thoughts were still with former Clipper Lamar Odom, the 1999 fourth overall pick by the Clippers. Odom, who spent his last NBA season with the Clippers in 2012-2013, is improving but guarded condition in a Las Vegas hospital.
Lamar was here. He was one of the first calls I made when I got the job, if you remember. We brought him in, and, I basically told him, you get right, he got a job. And, obviously he couldn't get that part of it right. So, but what I told my players is, you got to enjoy each other more. I said, Lamar had it right on the court, and I said, he's the exact opposite of half the players. They don't get it right on the floor. They don't figure out how to play for their teammate and be a great teammate and all that. I said, a lot of players never get that. And I said, that's what Lamar had, and that's why everyone was so emotional about him, because he is a great teammate. Every player that he played with, you hear it now. It was once he left the floor is where, he had a lot of demons, or he has a lot of demons. And so, so we talked about it a lot. I don't know if that was the right conversation to have right before you walk out in the preseason game, because the guys were very emotional in the locker room about it. But I just thought it was the right thing to do.
LO was just one of those guys who, when he was on our team, he had that veteran leadership. He knew what it took to win. He was very lighthearted. When things got a little bit too serious, he was the one that kept us relaxed and laughed and stuff like that. And then he was just an unbelievable guy.
You never want to see a friend go through something like that. And, it's not something that's fun to talk about, but, we wanted to be there for support. DJ and I flew to Vegas. When we landed from China, we flew to Vegas. Went and saw him that night, and he probably has no idea we were there, but just to be there and just to see him, and hopefully he knows that there's a lot of guys that love him and want to see him do better and want to see him get better, and it's tough to see somebody like that, like I said, but just to have a chance to be there was awesome.
Head coach Doc Rivers says at this point in preseason, he wishes he knew what his best lineups were, but he doesn't. The Clippers had the Warriors Tuesday night at Staples Center, and they returned to Staples Center Thursday night to face Portland Trail Blazers to wrap up the preseason. In Playa Vista, this is Law Murray for Clipper Blog.